Okay. I want to talk about binge eating today. Shh, 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 quiet. It's okay. My remote is just being crazy. I want to talk about binge eating because I have mentioned this in a few of my other videos regarding mental health, and I've had some requests from people to like specifically talk about my experience with binge eating and also the therapy that I've been doing. And I finally feel like I'm in a place where I am able to actually make this video. Let's talk about it. So if you're not familiar, or maybe you are very familiar with this, but you've just never heard it said out loud, binging is very much an emotional regulation. It's something that most people have learned, when they were kids, to be able to emotionally regulate because they weren't given the tools to be able to do that in a healthier way or more balanced way. So binging basically looks like, you're eating lots of food, you're binging, you're overeating to the point of discomfort, to the point of like, it feels like a compulsion. You're not even like necessarily concerned with the taste of the food, but you're continuing to eat past, like way past the point of satisfaction. It doesn't have much to do with being hungry. In fact, a binge can come after like having a satisfying meal. It looks like a lot of different things, and obviously like I'm going to be speaking to my experience most of all because like that's all I have. I'm not a therapist, I'm not a doctor, I will try to sort of like input little examples if I feel like it's going to like reach another person, like maybe this example will help somebody, but just keep in mind that like I'm not going to be able to like cover absolutely everything because I'm just one person, but hopefully maybe this like little light bulbs will kind of like pop off if you feel like you relate to this at all. So basically the binging cycle is binge, shame, restrict, deprivation, binge. So you binge eat to emotionally regulate. Maybe you're feeling overwhelmed, you're feeling stressed, you're feeling sad, you're feeling, I was going to say stressed again. You're having an overwhelm of emotions. And so it leads to a binge. And then you feel guilt and shame over that because you think, why can't I control myself around food? I don't understand. I can't control myself. It controls me. Like when I'm around food, I just have to eat all of it. And I'm just like super hungry. I'm just a super hungry person. And like I can't control myself around like M&Ms or I don't know, whatever, like chips, whatever your snack food might be. Maybe it's not snack food, maybe it's pasta, maybe it's pancakes, whatever it might be. And so that there comes in the judgment, lots and lots and lots and lots of judgment and shame for not being able to have this like control that you expect you should be able to have, which leads to the restriction. Where a person is thinking like, I should be able to have control. I should be able to control myself around this food. And so I'm going to restrict. I'm not going to do that again. I'm never going to do that again. I'm never going to eat this food again. I'm going to go on this like month-long diet where all I'm eating is veggies and lean proteins, and I'm not allowing myself to have any sugar. I'm not going to have any sugar. I'm going to cut fruit out of my diet. And it's usually like that extreme. And obviously, it's more obvious to me now, having been through all of this, but you're depriving yourself. Maybe you're depriving yourself of calories. Maybe you're depriving yourself of simply enjoyment, like any enjoyment in food. And it sort of leads to this like forbidden fruit thing where the more you restrict yourself from having something, the more you're thinking about it, the more it's controlling you, the more it's on your mind, which obviously leads to the deprivation, which leads to a binge. Eventually, you can't take it anymore. You're hungry, and you just have to order like a pint of ice cream and eat the whole thing in one go, and then, get chips or bags of candy, whatever it might look like. Okay, whatever. It's going to look different for different people, which results obviously in the shame once again. Maybe thinking, because food is a very social thing, maybe thinking like, when I'm with my friends, they're able to like control themselves around these foods. Why can't I? Why can't I do that? And then if you're anything like me, you might like experience a little bit of a high after like something like that. Not the binge itself, but a high of feeling like, okay, this is going to be the time. This time when I restrict myself, I'm going to be able to, like, this is the answer. I'm going to be able to do it this time. I'm going to be able to eat perfectly, whatever that looks like to you. And inevitably, it doesn't work like it hasn't previously. And the cycle just continues and continues and continues. So for me, I remember being a kid, like a little kid. And there's a conversation I think that there is to be had around like sugar, the excess of sugar and access to refined sugar, because there is a psychological thing that happens. But especially in someone who does not have a healthier way of emotionally regulating, who isn't taught to emotionally regulate, food is comforting. And for a little kid, sweets, very comforting. That tasted good. I want to do that again, So I remember from a very, very, very early age, I would say like preschool, I remember like having a cookie and being like, that was the greatest thing I've ever had. And like it was like snack time and we all had cookies. And I just remember thinking like, I will die if I don't have another cookie. Like I'm going to die if I don't have another cookie. And like everybody else seemed fine. And that was my first example of like, oh, other people are not having this feeling that I am. Like other people are able to just like have a snack and enjoy that snack and like move on. And I'm not, like I'm consumed by it. And that was like preschool. So that was very early on, obviously. All through middle school, I was never like an overweight child at all, not even close. I was pretty skinny, I would say, without really like having to do much. And it wasn't until middle school where I started to, hormones and stuff, everybody's changing and everyone is insecure. And I started thinking that I was like so fat and that I needed to lose weight. And basically that continued up until recently, like super fucking recently. I'm 35. So like basically the majority of my life. And I would go through these cycles of eating horribly and then deciding like I'm so hideous, I'm so fat, I'm so ugly, like I need to fix this. And so things like working out, I was really more of like a treadmill kind of girl for a while, and restricting myself from certain foods and certain amounts of foods, counting calories. I went through pretty much every single stage that you could go through. So just counting calories, and then that sort of evolving into like, oh, it's the quality of the food that I'm eating. I can't eat any refined sugar. That lasted for a really long time, where I was like, I can't have processed foods. I have to eat whole foods and only whole foods. And I can't eat bread. I can't eat pasta. I can only eat like potatoes. Like that lasted for a really long time. Basically every one of these cycles would last like for a specific amount of time, and then I would lose it all. Like I would just lose it and I would go back to whatever it was before, which would result in me binge eating, inactivity. It was very much an all or nothing kind of thing. Which sort of brings me to the process in which you go about treating it with a therapist. And I want to talk about this specifically because I had no sense of what this would look like. It was so unattainable to me that I would ever have a healthy relationship with food, and that it wouldn't constantly be on my mind, and that I wouldn't constantly be hungry. And there are so many different aspects to that. There are so many different like contributing factors. And like I said, it's going to look different for everyone, but I really want to like kind of take you through this. And I want to be an advocate for the fact that like it is possible. It's absolutely possible. And this is coming from someone who, when I was on the other side, I was like, this is literally impossible. Literally impossible. I can't picture this at all. So I just like, this is me very much encouraging you to trust a process if you are interested in going down this line of treatment, I guess. One of the first things that you have to sort of like work with a therapist to discover is, what does your restriction even look like? Like, are you counting calories? Are you preventing yourself from eating certain foods? Because I had gotten to a point where I wasn't counting calories. That creeped up here and there occasionally when like other things weren't working, which like none of them worked. But for the most part, it was just like I had foods that were off limits. It was like, I cannot be trusted around these foods. Okay. So figuring out like, what does this look like? Like, what is the restriction? Then figuring out, what does a binge look like? Frequency, the foods, triggers. This is a long process. Now, this in particular was a very, very long process for me. And One of the biggest reasons was I was so disassociated from like my feelings when I was eating certain foods. Completely just like in a different place. And it was incredibly compulsive. I do have OCD, so like it's not exactly OCD, but like it is a compulsion. So there's a connection there. But that's how I would feel when I was partaking in a binge. I was completely just like disconnected from my experience. I didn't know how my body felt. I didn't want to know how my body felt. I didn't know what was on my mind. And so it took a very, very long time to even be able to establish like what is happening when this is happening. And this was one of the scariest parts, is to be able to learn what's going on and what you're feeling and what triggers a binge. You have to let yourself do it. So that's kind of the first step, or the biggest step in my opinion, and where the most work comes in from my experience, was even allowing yourself to eat certain foods. Like you are literally just being like, okay, binge, go ahead, just do it. Because we have to gather some data. And that, to someone who has been stuck in a binge and restrict cycle for their entire life and who is like wrapped up in control, and feels like, no, I can do it. Like I can get to the point where I'm perfect. Like I'm able to maintain the perfect diet or the perfect workout routine or all of it all at once. Basically saying to yourself, have those foods, have them around, allow yourself to binge, is terrifying. And not just because of the lack of control around like what you're eating, but also because of the inevitable weight gain that's going to occur. Because one of the reasons that you probably have so much like need for control around food is because gaining weight and your body image is so wrapped up in this control. Like you want to have so much control over having like the perfect body, or having the least amount of fat on you, or looking just like a certain way, basically. I can tell you right now, that was the scariest part for me. Like, holy shit. It was really, really fucking hard to just be like, oh, okay, I'm like, these foods have been off limits my entire life. Now eat them. Just have them around and eat them. And guess what? You binge a lot. And it's really hard. It's really fun. It's, to be completely honest with you guys, and I've said this in a few videos and a few live streams, this past year, this has been the majority of what I've been working on, and it has been probably the hardest year of my life, just based on like emotions and like what I've been working on and like trying to like overcome. And I'm in a much better place now. So, you know what I mean? Like, this is why I waited to make this video, so that I could be like, I promise, like you can get to the other side, like I promise. So that's really like, and obviously like you should be working with a trained professional. Like I highly recommend working with a therapist, someone who specializes in binge eating disorders, so that you are actually supported while you're doing this, okay? Because it's a fucking lot, bro. It's a fucking lot. Obviously, I also just want to sort of like, because like I said, I'm not a doctor. So like when I say you should be working with a professional, you want to be assessing like medical risks and such, like your health and all of that. I didn't have those concerns. So it wasn't something that like I had experience with and I can't speak to. So when you have entered this place where you are allowing yourself to eat certain foods that have been off limits, you're allowing yourself to just eat. Basically, think about it that way. Maybe don't think about it like, oh, I'm allowing myself to binge. Just allow yourself to eat. When you're hungry and you want something specific, eat it. Just eat it. And the more you do this, you start to, obviously, when you're working with a therapist, you're going to work on recognizing what emotions are going to come up before you eat something. What emotion comes up before you eat something? That was really hard for me. However, it was a lot easier for me to be able to like partake in a binge and then reflect afterwards. Afterwards, I could say, okay, I was feeling like really anxious. I was feeling really anxious and overwhelmed because of these things that are coming up. And so I binged. Then eventually, after a very long time, I was able to get to the point where I was like in the middle of eating and realizing like, oh, I know why I'm doing this right now. I'm experiencing these emotions. I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm feeling anxious. And now like my body is just like in this, like, it's in this habit already. So I'm just going. Then eventually, after a lot of work, I was able to get to the point where I was able to acknowledge those things that I was feeling, those emotions, that overwhelm, that anxiety, that overstimulation, and say, okay, I'm feeling these things and I'm feeling like I want to eat this food. Like it's leading me specifically towards this food. And then it would happen. You know, like I wasn't necessarily stopping myself from doing it. It would happen, but I was getting better at acknowledging and recognizing those emotions before the binge ever happened. So while you're going through this process of trying to allowing yourself to eat whatever and trying to acknowledge whatever those emotions might be, either afterwards, during, or before, you are also going to be working on de-shaming, removing the shame from the cycle. So the easiest way that I can, honestly, the easiest thing that helped me during this, and it was difficult, like this, all of this stuff that I'm talking about, none of it was easy. Like none of it was easy. It was a fucking lot of work, and it took its fucking toll on me, okay? But when I was in this stage, this very, very long stage of trying to allow myself to eat whatever without judgment, something that would happen is I would notice things popping up. Shame, feeling super negative towards myself, having these like anxiety-ridden feelings of like, I want to restrict now. I want to do a certain diet, or I want to throw away all of the like bad foods that are in my house right now. Or maybe I should do like fasting. Maybe I should do intermittent fasting, and getting like this high off of this feeling of like, that could be the answer. What I had to do was practice quite a bit of mindfulness during these things. So whenever those thoughts started to pop into my head, I'd already worked with my therapist to identify that they are not helpful. The reason that I was working with a therapist in the first place was all of this cycle, this binge restrict cycle, I haven't been able to do it. Like I haven't been able to get there. Like I always think that like the next thing is going to be the answer. It hasn't been. So whatever I'm doing isn't working. Time for me to like maybe ask somebody for help. You know what I mean? So I did. Also very distracted by how beautiful my makeup is right now. Acknowledging, practicing a little bit of mindfulness, acknowledging when those thoughts pop up. So for instance, if you are someone like me who would have extremely negative self-thoughts, like thoughts that would just pop into your head that would be incredibly negative, like you're shit, like whatever it might be, you're shit, I hate you, I'm sad, any of those things. One thing that would pop up for me a lot is probably like a little bit of an OCD thing, where I would like recount what I had already eaten like in the day. I would try to plan it methodically. So like I would think like, okay, so I had oatmeal for breakfast, and then I made a salad, but then I like binged a bunch of chips. And so to make up for that, then tonight when I have dinner, I want to like only focus on having like veggies and protein, like just veggies and protein. So I would do that a lot, where it was like constantly in my head where I'm like thinking, this is what I ate, so this is how I'm going to make up for it. Or like planning, okay, I'm going to eat this thing, and then I'm going to eat this thing. And then like, if I'm perfect in the beginning of the day, then like maybe I can have like a little bit of something for dessert later in the day. So that was a thought that would come up a lot, constantly like planning or recounting what I'd eaten. So what helped me a lot was to just acknowledge that I was even doing it. Those thoughts would pop up just on their own because it was part of a habit. And I would just say, oh, I'm doing that again. I'm doing that thing where I'm recounting what I eat. And it's pretty incredible how when you acknowledge it, it starts to just kind of go away. And the more you practice that, the more, like it could be like multiple times throughout the day where it's just like popping into your head, and you have to just practice acknowledging it and being like, oh, that thing is happening again, where like I'm doing that thing. And the more and more you do that, the easier it becomes to recognize those thoughts as just thoughts. They're just thoughts that pop up. And then when you're like, oh, I'm doing that thing, it goes away. And it makes practicing self-compassion and reducing judgment like kind of just like snowball. That's what I found anyway. That's my biggest piece of advice, is that like this concept of self-compassion, being nice to myself and not being judgmental, was like, I was like, no, like, what? This is something I've done my entire life. Like, that's all I've known. All I've known is being judgmental of myself. All I've known is like, all I've known is that like, I'm not doing enough. I'm not doing enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not doing enough. I need to be doing more. I need to be I need to be better. I need to be the best. I need to be doing the best. And guess what? I never was. I never was. Except for one point in time, which I actually do want to talk about. A few years ago, 2022, I think, I reached a 2-month period where things were perfect, in my opinion, at the time. I was eating perfectly, in my opinion, at the time. I was working out like perfectly, in my opinion, at the time. I was like, I look amazing. And guess what the fuck happened? That 2 months, I will never forget the anxiety of feeling like, I'm going to lose it. I'm not going to be able to maintain this. Like, now that I have it, what if I lose it? What's going to happen? And like sleepless nights and forcing myself to work out when I didn't want to, and forcing myself to like eat certain things that I didn't like because I was like, nutrition. I need to be getting all of the nutrition. And damn, did I do like a hard left turn. Damn, did I do a hard left turn. And I just crashed. And it led to like, I think a solid month of like no working out, no activity at all, and binging. So that's a really good example of like a relatively recent time where I had felt like I reached the apex, and it's unsustainable. Like the apex, it doesn't exist. So that's just a reminder. When you're starting to have those thoughts, when those thoughts start to creep into your mind, if this is something that you're working on right now, or if you're just like even watching this video and you're recognizing as I'm speaking about this that like those are things that you can relate to, just practice that. When those thoughts pop up, those negative thoughts or those compulsive thoughts or those controlling thoughts, just acknowledge them. Recognize that you're doing it. Let them fall away and keep practicing that. Something that's really important to remember is that this is not a problem of willpower. It's not. Especially when you are stuck in a binge and restrict cycle, your body is literally begging you to feed it. If you're restricting calories, if you are just mentally restricting foods in general, maybe you're not even restricting calories, but you're just like not allowing yourself to eat things that you enjoy, your body is dying for food. It wants to be fed. And it is simply, a binge is simply like a biological reaction to what you've been putting it through with that deprivation and that restriction. That's a huge thing to keep in mind. You are not flawed because you are partaking in a binge after restricting yourself so heavily. In fact, speaking of shame, if you have ever been one of those people who, you know, maybe you're out to dinner with your friends or you're just with friends in general or around other people and you're thinking, how come they aren't as hungry as me? How come they are able to control themselves around food? If those people were restricting themselves as heavily as you were restricting yourself, they would be doing the same thing, okay? This is like a biological response reacting to a lack of food. So to get back to restriction really quickly, and this is something that was less so in my treatment because I wasn't restricting. I had gotten to a point where I wasn't restricting myself as much, but I was still struggling with binges. I had this like good versus bad food mentality. That was my biggest problem. But if you are someone who is like heavily restricting calories, then it's probably going to be the main focus before you even get to the binges specifically. I would say that I got to the binges specifically with my therapist relatively quickly. We were able to sort of like determine what my restriction had looked like. and, still did look like based on like good and bad foods, but I wasn't counting calories, and I wasn't preventing myself from eating because I had binged. It was more so adjusting what I was eating based on a binge. Like, because I had this, now I can only have this food. It wasn't the amount of food, if that makes sense. So it will look different for people if you are heavily restricting. You're probably going to start in that area. Something that for a short time I was working with a nutritionist in addition to my therapist. Actually, I think I started with a nutritionist before I even saw the therapist, because I was like, maybe this will help. Which I'm really glad that I worked with the therapist, because like I think doing them together is really great, especially if you're someone who like struggles with eating like balanced meals, I guess, or if you have a difficult time getting nutritionally dense meals in general. Maybe you just aren't as well educated about like how to put together nutritious meals. I did work with a nutritionist for a little while, and this is something that we worked on together. And that was identifying your hunger levels, which I had never even thought about. Like, never even thought about. Like, nobody taught me to like be like, are you hungry? Like, what is hungry? Like, what is hunger? Like, what is that? Like, I didn't know. That was crazy. So like identifying like on a scale of 1 to 10, I did the nutritionist I worked with was through an app called Nourish. None of this stuff is sponsored. I like reached out to everybody on my own. But yeah, I did it through them, and in their app, they had like, you basically like track what you're eating based on basically just like tracking, gathering data, and like you have a little slider thingy that's basically like, how hungry are you? Like extremely hungry, like actually, let me just, no, I can't, no, I can't like log in and all that shit. Whatever. Anyway, basically like extremely hungry, slightly hungry, like neutral, lightly full, like that, basically that. Like you're trying to pay attention to like, okay, how hungry am I right now? And it's causing you to like take a pause, just take a pause and be like, wait, what am I actually feeling in my body? Like, how does my body feel? Like, am I hungry? Like, am I starving? Or like, am I like a little hungry? Or am I like full, but like I want something? I'm not satisfied, so I want something else. That was like huge. And I did that with my nutritionist and sort of like brought that into when I started working with my therapist. Because someone who's in a binge restrict cycle, you're not even paying attention to how your body feels, because that doesn't fucking matter to you. Like, the way your body feels does not matter. That's why you're restricting so heavily and ending in a binge, because the motivation is probably more so your weight, the way that you look, trying to fit into certain clothes. It's more of, I was gonna say physical. It's more of a, it has more to do with your appearance. It has absolutely nothing. Like, you don't care about how your body feels when you're partaking in that kind of thing. And that's not to say that like I'm judging you for it or like saying it is a negative thing, but like it's just the truth. Like, you're completely disconnected from yourself when you are binging and restricting. So trying to notice like hunger cues, trying to learn like, am I hungry? How hungry am I? And which in turn will lead to how much am I going to eat? How much am I eating right now? In this moment, am I getting full? Am I feeling satisfied? Can I stop eating now? If I have another bite, am I going to feel too full? And that is also that in conjunction with like allowing yourself to binge and acknowledging what emotional triggers are causing the binges. Like, all of these things are going to be slowly pieced together by whoever you're working with. And this might be something that like you work on a little bit more so with a nutritionist. So it might be a benefit to you to work with a therapist and a nutritionist at the same time. So one of the goals that you want to get to when you have reintroduced these off-limit foods, these bad foods, is eating them in a neutral emotional state. So typically a binge is going to be triggered by specific emotions. For me, it was overwhelm, overstimulation, and anxiety, those feelings. If I woke up feeling like I have a million things to do today, my mind would immediately become super anxious, feel overwhelmed, and I would feel like I need to have this moment of like binging and enjoying what I thought was enjoying this food, like this rest moment before I can get to the other stuff. A lot of the time it would become this all or nothing thing where I had plans, lots of things that I needed to do, lots of things on my to-do list, which would result in a binge and me not doing any of those things. So this like all or nothing thing. That's how it had looked in my past. So getting to the point where you are able to eat those foods in a neutral place, when you are feeling neutral, or even when you're feeling kind of happy, so that you are reassociating those foods with not the like overwhelm and the anxiety and the negative feelings. Once you've been in a place where you've been allowing yourself to binge and you've been able to identify maybe certain emotional triggers, or and you're intentionally bringing in nutritious foods, you're working on all of those things, working on the self-compassion aspect, so like noticing when judgment is popping up. You want to acknowledge or determine, what is this binge doing for you? What are the binges providing for you? For most people, they might be providing like a soothing feeling. It might be a numbing feeling because you're, trying to avoid whatever emotions are like buried deep down that you've been trying to avoid for a very long time. It might be, providing some comfort when you're feeling overwhelmed or you're feeling like you need to relax. These are all things that I can relate to. I feel like a lot of people probably can who deal with this. It might not be just one. It might be all three. It might be more than that. As you're working on all of these things, you're going to start trying to build alternative habits, essentially. So for me, it looked like getting up and going for a walk in the morning. In the past, I had a very judgmental view of those kinds of things. It was very much like I should be getting up and going for a walk in the morning because that's what healthy people do. I should be drinking a glass of water first thing in the morning because that's what healthy people do. And I would be extremely disappointed in myself if I didn't do those things, if I planned to do those things. And then because of the planning and the shame and the overwhelm, I would feel super negative. And then maybe that would result in me not doing any of those things, binge eating, and then, recycling the loop, basically. So what's interesting is that like one day I woke up and I was like, I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to go, usually the first thing I do in the morning, I feed the cats, I make myself a coffee, and I sit. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to make a coffee and I'm going to go for a walk. And then that just happened. And then the next day I was like, you know what? That was nice. I think I'm going to go for a walk again. And then it was like 3 weeks in a row where I wasn't thinking about it. I wasn't trying to like work hard at it. I just like would get up, make my coffee, and go for a walk. And all of a sudden, that was a habit that I had created that I didn't really like have to work super hard at. I wasn't forcing myself. I wasn't yelling at myself when I didn't do it. Some mornings I woke up late and I was like, oh shit, I got stuff to do. Not going for a walk this morning. And I didn't think about it. So it was like, oh shit, the shame is starting to go away. And like all of a sudden I'm able to like implement these healthy habits without really feeling like I'm doing much. That was crazy. And I don't want to give you any like false hopes. This took a while, okay? All of this took a while, all right? Took probably like a good year, I would say, that maybe like less than a year, like getting to the walking and stuff. But to the point where I am now took like a good year or more than that. Because I actually started working on this with my CBT therapist like 2 years ago. So it's been a lot, okay? It's been a lot. So that example, the going for a walk, another thing that I started doing was reading before bed. If I got a good book, I enjoyed it. And, you do it once and then you're just like, oh, this is a nice story. Like, this is actually really nice. And it's soothing. And I like being able to just like sit in my warm bed with my cat and read before bed, not have my phone around, So starting to implement healthier habits, things that are grounding and calming and soothing. And you're doing that while you're working on the other things. You haven't stopped working on the other things. It's not like you're working on one thing at a time. You're sort of like bringing one thing in and then bringing another thing in and then bringing another thing in. They're all overlapping. And maybe some days you're going to have, more of a focus in one area. And some days maybe you'll, talk about a few different things. But you're going to go through these cycles where you're working on all these different things. And it's just kind of, it goes, I don't know why I'm like picturing a Christmas tree, but it's just like, it goes like this. And then eventually it just kind of like all comes together. Things start coming together and things start like making sense and dots are connecting. And like I said, that day where I woke up and I was just like, I'm going to go for a walk. I was just like, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck? Like, where did that come from? Like, where did this like healthy thought come from? This like balanced, healthy thought. Like, where did that come from? I don't even know. When you're implementing these healthier habits, you're not looking to replace binges yet. Or in general, this shouldn't be your goal. You're just trying to give yourself more habits. You're trying to create more habits. Because again, the binging served you at a time, right? It was soothing at a time, probably in a time when you were a child and you didn't have any other options. It served you then. It's not serving you now. So what we're doing is we're trying to give you some different options. Returning to the self-compassion aspect, a huge piece that you're going to need to work on is, what is the motivation? Like, what are the underlying beliefs about yourself that lead to these binges? For me, it was, I'm fat. I need to have a better body. I need to take care of myself, and taking care of myself means eating perfectly. If I'm going to be a healthy person and I'm going to live and not fall apart when I'm old, it means I have to be perfect in the way that I work out, in the way that I eat. It had a lot to do with body image. Lots of body checking. Like, I can't even tell you how many times a day. And to the point where like weekly, like daily, I would notice fluctuations in my body based on what I ate. And this is really where the self-compassion comes in, because you need to identify like, what are the fears? What are those deeper fears connected to? Like, what is it about the changing of my body daily based on what I'm eating? What is the deeper underlying fear there? And for me, the deepest underlying fear was that I was not doing enough. I was failing, and I'm not good enough, basically. Like, I'm bad. And I'm essentially not worthy of anything. I'm laughing because like it's heavy shit. But yeah, it was basically that like, I hate myself. I need to be different. And I'm terrified of like what other people think of me. And in addition to that, identifying what is this thought that the shape or size of my body equals what I'm worth as a human being. And that was also very difficult, but that is very much like a piece of the self-compassion. So really just like tearing that down is super important. One of the biggest ways that I was able to do that is essentially forcing yourself to live your life despite. So I was very much a person who, if I wasn't able to do a workout, like a lower body workout, before I was going out to an event or out with friends or something, then I wouldn't wear certain clothes because I was like, my body won't look right. It's thoughts like that where you're trying to remove that control and that judgment of yourself and just be present in the moment with friends. So if there's something coming up that you got invited to and you really don't want to go because you're like, I don't know what I'm going to wear. I hate all my clothes. I'm not going to feel good because like everything looks horrible on me right now. Go to the thing. Go to it. Put on the clothes. You're not going to feel good. Go to it. It's very much an exposure. And I think that this is where a lot of the work that I've been doing through OCD with my OCD has been really helpful, is like just sitting in that discomfort and feeling those shitty emotions, because all of this stuff is very much connected to like trying so desperately not to feel them. Like so desperately not to feel any emotions. So yeah, so now my And and you're gonna slip up, you're gonna fuck up, you're gonna say no to something, and then it's probably going to like push a little bit of shame towards you again, and you're gonna have to like acknowledge and then work on that shame. And then the next time you're invited to something, you go to it, and you're gonna feel like shit when you're there because maybe your pants are too tight or your like belly's hanging out a little bit and you're just not feeling comfortable. But you know what's funny? The more you do that, the more you realize that like the people around you aren't noticing that shit. And if they are, you need to remove them from your life. Okay? I'll say it. Like if you're around people who are pointing that kind of shit out, you don't need them because they are only contributing to like extremely unhealthy and unhelpful thoughts about yourself. And the more that you experience just like going out and enjoying your life and not worrying about the way that you look or the way that you sound or like how you're coming off to people, that shit just melts away. And when I tell you that my social anxiety is basically gone, like I never thought that would be a thing. I want to save that for the wrap up though, but I'm getting ahead of myself. So go out and live your life. I don't care how the clothes look on you, okay? I don't care if you feel comfortable. You're probably not going to. Go out and do the things. Experience life, okay? Because otherwise, like, what's the alternative? What's the alternative? And a huge question to ask yourself, especially if you are already like in the middle of this and you have gained weight, which I did. I gained a lot of weight, okay? That was terrifying for me. So terrifying for me. I got to the heaviest I've ever been. The question that my therapist would ask is like, if you were to just stay in this body for the rest of your life, what do you do? Like, what are the options? And I was just like, well, what the fuck am I gonna do? Hide for my entire life? Like, no, I'm gonna go out and I have to live my life. I have to live my life. You only get one, believe it or not. You only get one body. And that's not to say that like you only have one body, so you need to like be perfect. That's to say you have one body. Don't hate it. Please don't hate it for your entire life. So I went out and I fucking did shit with people. And I feel a million times better. And I actually enjoy being social. I enjoy being social now. What? Like, when did that happen? Like, oh my God. What the fuck? So it really is like, you have to get rid of this idea of having the ideal body because it doesn't exist. It's not going to exist. It's not helpful for you. Get rid of it. You are going to do this. Okay? That's going to be your journey. All right? There's some times where you're just going to be fucking feeling like you're sliding backward. You are sliding backward, but you're not. Because every single time, every day, every time that you practice, every time you notice those negative self-thoughts, every time you wake up and you say, I'm going to go for a walk, every time you binge, now, as you work on this, you are developing more skills. You are gathering more information. It's impossible to go backwards. You're going to feel like it, but you just have to remember that you are going forward every single day with new information and new experience. There are going to be times where you feel stagnant, where you feel like, wait, I've been in this place for a really long time and it's not where I want to be. Maybe you're not slipping back, but you're just stagnant. I had one of those recently. And for me, it took a lot of reflection and feeling like, why is this so uncomfortable? Why is stagnation feeling so uncomfortable? And it's because I always feel like I need to be doing better. So you just got to sit there for a little while and be stagnant. And guess what? The more you expose yourself to that uncomfortability, you start to go up again and you start to make progress again. And then guess what? You're going to fuck up again. You're going to fall down and you're going to learn from that. All right. So like when they say it's about the journey, it's not about the destination, it is 100% that. Life is literally just like constantly moving and going. And it is a journey. Okay. It is like you are constantly like experiencing ups and downs and changes. Nothing is going to stay exactly like where you want it to be. Nothing, anywhere, ever. That's not how life works, okay? So just remember that. And you have to trust the process. The goal is not to never binge again. And I know that might sound crazy because like if you're sitting there right now and you're like, well, no, but I don't ever want to do this again. That is not the goal. It's not. It can't be. Because you can't have this all or nothing mentality. That all or nothing is gone. We're getting rid of it. There is an acceptance that like things are going to happen in my life And this might be something that I'm dealing with my entire life. What my goal is to develop tools to be able to handle that, to sit in the discomfort, to recognize what my body is feeling, what my body and my mind are feeling, to identify why I'm partaking in specific habits that I might not like, and to develop a healthier relationship with all of those things so that I feel like I have the tools to handle whatever is coming my way. Because shit's gonna come your way, right? What ends up happening is that restriction no longer feels necessary. Because all of that anxiety, all of that noise in your head just starts coming down. And I can tell you this from experience. Like, my mind feels so fucking quiet now. I'm not constantly worried. I'm not, like, my mind is not constantly racing. Which is like still so new to me, but it's just like unbelievable. And you have no concept of it. And you can't speak to it unless you actually experience it, which is why I'm making this video. Because in all of these stages, I've always felt like I can't see beyond this. Like I cannot see the destination. And once you acknowledge that there isn't one, but there isn't this like this perfect destination, things starts falling into place. Like they absolutely do. It's really crazy. And what's interesting is that like binges, they start to get smaller. They become less frequent. And like food in general, it's no longer the center of your world. You're not thinking about it constantly. I was always thinking about food. What am I eating next? What am I gonna eat for lunch? What am I gonna eat for dinner? Like, am I gonna have something like a sweet treat tonight? I don't think about it. I fucking don't think about it. And I still have those moments where like, this happened 2 days ago. I was in the bathroom and I was like washing my face and I had this moment where like a thought popped up that was like, okay, I'm going to have this for breakfast and then I'm going to do this. And I was like, oh, I'm doing that thing. Fuck out of here. I'm doing that thing. Fuck out of here. And it went away and I haven't done it since. So you're practicing skills. You got to keep practicing. And that's the thing is that like, it is a muscle and you have to work it just like any other thing. If you're a singer and you have been, singing in choir or something for like all of your school years, and then you just like stop singing when you go to college, and then you go to sing, you're not gonna be as good as you were because you're not like as stretched out, right? It's a muscle. You gotta work it. This shit is super fucking messy, all right? It's really messy. It's so uncomfortable. It's gonna suck. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you. It's gonna suck. So much of it is gonna suck. Like, really bad. But it is going to be so fucking worth it when the first time you experience a little breakthrough, you're going to be like, oh shit. Like, I did not think this was possible. That's how I was. And every single time, like I continue to experience breakthroughs where I'm like, oh my God, like what the fuck? Like how is this happening? Like how am I continuing to experience these positive breakthroughs? Like it's crazy. It's fucking mind blowing. There was something I said I was going to come back to and I totally forgot what it was. The main way that I want to just like close this out, I know this was super long, but it's a lot to cover. Like I said, I will link Rachel Wrigley down below. If you want to like just hear from a professional who literally treats women who are dealing with this like binge and restrict disorder, her videos were incredibly helpful to me. Like I said, they were the first time that I heard someone explain what I was experiencing and gave me sort of like a tangible thing to hold on to that was like, oh, I can see now that like I'm not alone in this. And if it's possible for this person, then maybe it's possible for me. So I hope that this helped in that way. I would encourage you to just be curious, just keep your mind open around this topic. And if it is something that you really want to work on, I highly recommend working with a therapist who specializes in binge eating. You know, I'm lucky enough to be able to afford to like work with someone who's outside of my insurance. It's expensive. It's been life-changing. It has been one of the best investments that I've ever made. So I highly recommend like investing in your mental health. Like it's so important. And I know that like people talk about it more so, but I do feel like the investment in our mental health is not something that like we focus on. People say like get a therapist. it takes a lot to find a good one, and you should be working hard to find one that you actually connect with. I was lucky enough to get a recommendation from my OCD therapist, who I already loved. So I was very lucky in that sense. But I did have some moments with like therapists who I did not vibe with. Like it didn't work, you know? And thankfully I didn't let it deter me. I went in different directions, and I am so fucking healed. I'm still working on myself, but like I'm so fucking healed. Like I can't even tell you. I can't even tell you. I mean, I did. I just spent like fucking an hour telling you. I hope that this was helpful. If you have any questions, like leave them in the comments down below. If people are willing to like share, or you just like simply want to talk about your experience, like please feel free, because I think like providing specific experiences or even general experiences, but just seeing that other people are dealing with this shit, is really, really helpful. So yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. And I don't know if you like, I don't know, it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter. I'm gonna keep making these like update videos, because I continuously think back to like, if I were in high school and I had YouTube and my favorite YouTuber talked about this stuff, like how fucking helpful that would have been to know that I wasn't the only person dealing with certain things. So hope it helps. Love you. And I'm gonna go. Subscribe and like and blah, blah, blah. And I've also been live streaming on Thursdays, 12 p.m. PST. That was so rude. My camera stopped recording in the middle of my goodbye. All right, I gotta go. Love you.